guys. So I am finally back. Not completely back to normal. I did have surgery, and the surgery went fine, but turns out I'm allergic to tape. So that has been a nightmare. I've had bumps all over my body. It's been horrible. Like, the surgery was fine, but I ended up just, well, I don't know if you could tell very well right here on my arms. It's hard to see, but I just have bumps all over my arms and my stomach. And anyways, I'm back now. I wanted to record. It's just been tired from all the medicine and not feeling like it. But today I'm in a have energy, so I decided to jump right on a video. And today I wanted to do Filthy Habits of History's Worst Dictators. I've had the video saved for a little bit, and I thought it'd be a good one for today. It's kind of short and looks kind of funny. So yeah, let's get started.
Dictators. Dictators have risen and fallen throughout history, and we all know they're not the most pleasant of people. Best known for the atrocities they commit and the oppression of the people under them. They don't go down in history for the right reasons. But they are human beings just like the rest of us, and like the rest of us, they harbor some secrets. It's just that they're...
Some? I feel like there's a lot that they might hide.
Of the disgusting, repellent, and flat-out smelly variety. They were bad enough to be around anyway. But these bad habits make these dictators even more repulsive. Number 5. Hitler's uncontrollable farting. Adolf Hitler is one of the most famous dictators in history, responsible for the death of millions of people, the Holocaust, and of course sparking World War II. All in all, he wasn't a pleasant person. But what made him even
6 million that we know of
worse to be around was his unbearably smelly posterior. Thanks to a combination of eating an excessive number of vegetables and poor advice from a doctor that many referred to as a quack, Adolf Hitler's rear...
I mean, he probably wasn't able to say the real truth either. You can't really argue with him. You can't, like, tell him he's wrong. So, of course, you're just going to tell him what he wants to hear.
...was louder than the brass section of the New York Philharmonic. As Hitler got older and meaner, he also suffered from more and more medical issues. In fact, some historians now believe that he actually suffered from Parkinson's disease towards the end of his life.
Okay.
Others argue that most of his symptoms and problems were actually thanks to the excessive over-medication by his personal physician, Dr. Theodor Morell. As the Austrian dictator was a strict vegetarian, his diet reportedly consisted just of fresh vegetables, mashed potatoes, and pasta.
Did not know that.
Conducive to a happy stomach when eaten alone and in excess. As a result, from 1936 onward, Dr. Morell was fully in charge of Hitler's care and in fixing his delicate stomach. Unfortunately, the quack only made things worse, providing him with up to 28 pills per day. One of the worst of which was his use of Dr. Koster's anti-gas pills, which, thanks to its maximum dose of strychnine, actually made Hitler's cramps and farting more common.
I think my camera's moving. I'm sorry. I'm gonna turn off the fan. Okay, there. Let's continue.
You'd want to share a bedchamber with. Poor Eva Braun. Number 4. Mao Zedong's rotten teeth. Mao Zedong, famously known as Chairman Mao, was, to put it mildly, not a nice man. During his rule of China from 1949 to 1976, Chairman Mao was responsible for up to an unbelievable 80 million deaths. From purification schemes to the killing of loyalists while under his communist rule, Mao seemingly had no reservations about torturing and murdering those he saw as a threat. Not someone you'd want to cross paths with, and even if you did, your stomach would immediately turn as soon as you spotted his awful, rotting teeth.
Not spotted, smelled. Have you ever been around someone whose breath smells so bad, but you just, like, can't really tell them about it? That just happened to me the other day, actually. Because, like, you don't know them that well, so you just have to try and avoid the zone of breathing. Ugh.
That's because Mao strongly believed brushing your teeth wasn't necessary as long as you rinsed them with tea.
One of
He was even
those.
quoted by his personal
Tea?
physician as saying, "I clean my teeth with tea. I never brush them. A tiger never brushes his teeth. Why are a tiger's teeth so sharp?" Needless
Sharp. Sharp or clean?
to say, Mao's philosophy was very, very wrong. As a
Yeah.
result of his complete lack of oral hygiene, his teeth looked like they were coated in green paint. A few were loose and pus oozed out of his gums.
And you know that hurts. Why? Why do they do this to themselves? Why do people... There are people now that do that to themselves. Doesn't that hurt? Like, where's the self-awareness?
By the 1970s, his physician reported that all of Mao's teeth had blackened and the back had fallen out, and he was suffering from severe periodontal disease, as you can see in untouched photos from the time. All of which served to make him look like a PSA for why you definitely should brush your teeth.
Yeah.
It's also worth mentioning that the apple clearly doesn't fall far from the tree. In 2011, Mao's grandson, Major General Mao Xinyu, was asked to recite a poem of his grandfather's live on air, during which he inexplicably picked his nose. It may be a bad habit shared by many, but most of us can manage to refrain from nose picking on live national television. Number 3. Stalin's crude drawings. Rounding off the 3 worst dictators of all time and their disgusting habits, we have Joseph Stalin.
Dirty
Responsible for
photos?
upholding a regime that used mass murder as a form of control, including the genocide of the kulak class of Ukrainian farmers, Stalin had millions of citizens executed by his command. But when he wasn't busy murdering the population in order to bring them in line, Stalin had a rather interesting hobby. And by interesting, we mean akin to that of a teenage boy who was bored in class. As revealed for the first time at a Moscow gallery in 2009, Stalin's favorite pastime was to take male nude sketches by 19th century Russian painters and deface them. When doing so, his childish humor was immediately apparent, as per one sketch that depicted a naked man and a prostrate naked woman, Stalin had scribbled, "Idiot, you've completely forgotten what to do." In others, Stalin seemed to instead channel a latent philosopher, and not a very good one at that. For example,
childish.
On a sketch of a naked man sitting in a thoughtful position, he scribbled, "One thinking fool is worse than 10 enemies. One unnamed handwriting expert confirmed these strange captions were definitely the work of Joseph Stalin, although why one of the most powerful and evil men in the world chose to spend his time scribbling weird captions on old drawings is anyone's guess.
That is weird. If anybody is, if anybody knows more about that, you can let me know. That's strange. Maybe, I don't know, was he a drinker? Was he like, maybe he was on something? I don't know. It's crazy. This is just a random side note. It's crazy how recent a lot of these genocides were. It's really scary that there are people still alive today who were involved, like not involved by doing it, but just around at the time. That is really scary. Just a random side note.
Number 2, Idi Amin and his oranges. While Ugandan dictator and megalomaniac Idi Amin demanded he was referred to as His Excellency President for Life Field Marshal Al-Haji Dr. Idi Amin, VC DSO MC, Lord of all the beasts of the earth and the fishes of the sea.
Why do we let people do this? Like, really? No one could bring his ego down a notch at all. Everybody was just happy to do this.
And conqueror of the British Empire in Africa in general and Uganda in particular. He was better known by another nickname, the Butcher of Uganda. During his rule, Idi Amin was responsible for the deaths of between 80 to 300,000 Ugandan civilians, ranging from regular citizens to high-ranking officials like the Anglican Archbishop. He also found the time to eat a lot of oranges. And by a lot, I mean up to 40 oranges per day.
Oh my God.
For eating healthily, like Hitler's excessive vegetable-based diet, Idi Amin may have gone a bit too far with his love of oranges. To the point
Weird.
that reportedly, by the end of his life, he referred to himself as a fruitarian, eating fruit almost exclusively. The reason for Idi Amin's love of oranges wasn't based purely on taste, however. He believed oranges to be nature's Viagra, and that by consuming so many, he was increasing his sexual prowess, making him
Oh,
better in the bedroom. No accounts exist to either confirm nor deny this, but his love of oranges was well known. So well known, he earned himself a nickname that sounds a bit nicer and more cutesy than the Butcher of Uganda, which was Dr. Jaffa, like Jaffa Cake. It's also fair to assume that eating up to 40 oranges a day may have resulted in some ill effects.
sure, of course it did. These guys are weird. Probably bad for your teeth, bad for your stomach, acid reflux maybe. Because that's like the acidity level would be
Given their
high.
acidity, nutritionists caution from eating them in huge quantities. It can
Yep.
result in stomach issues. Just
Mouth
4 to 5
issues.
per day can cause heartburn, cramping, headaches, nausea, and upset stomach. If that's just 5, imagine what havoc 40 must have wreaked on the dictator system. Still, it's doubtful anyone feels too sorry for him. Number 1.
What a dummy.
Ne Win's love of dolphin parts. General Ne Win
Parts.
was one of the worst things that could have happened to a newly independent Burma, now known as Myanmar. First appointed as prime minister, he seized power in a military coup. The army had complete
All
control
right.
of the country and was totally exempt from the law, stealing, sexually assaulting, and killing those who opposed Ne Win. By the end of his rule, Burma
Why?
had become one of the poorest countries in the world, and thousands had died in uprisings against Ne Win's regime. As well as his complete incompetence and brutality in running Burma, Ne Win also allegedly had a pretty gross habit. According to multiple sources, although only after his death, the dictator bathed in dolphin blood. As a deeply superstitious man who believed in things like juju surrounding the number 9, it's unsurprising that he also believed in myths surrounding the power of dolphin blood.
Again, why do we let people like this get in power? That seems like such an easily manipulated person to believe in such things. And poor dolphins, they just like got massacred for blood.
Allegedly, dolphin blood has properties that keep you young, and Ne Win evidently believed this, as he would
Wow.
repeatedly and creepily washed in the stuff. Just don't ask where or how he got it. I
Brutally, I'm sure it's terrible.
don't think we'd want to know the answer.
Gross. These guys were so gross. But nobody could tell them, I'm sure. Like, no one could. I mean, who's gonna start criticizing them? Probably couldn't criticize them for anything. So, ew. I guess I expected it to be kind of gross, but yeah, it's really gross. So yeah, I'll leave this video in the description for you. This is a channel called Simple History. Looks like they have a ton of videos to look at. And yeah, if there's anything you want me to watch, you can leave it in the comments. I do like to read them. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.